Hey everyone, so Tay had a question in class last night about how you determine what is the section number or chapter number of a statute. And I think that's a really good question, particularly in Florida, because sometimes it's not entirely clear. So I'm making this really quick video to help you guys out with respect to that. So I'm in Westlaw here. Let's say you wanted to look up a statute. We're going to go to, in Florida, obviously, we're going to go to state materials. This is a little review here. Click on Florida. And we're going to click on Florida statutes and court rules, excuse me. And let's say you wanted to look something up on evidence. So we'd go to see how it says here, title, that's 7, and then evidence, and it's chapters 90 to 92, okay? All these titles are obviously numerical and different throughout Florida, but what you can see over here on the far right, there's never more than one chapter. So basically, the reason why I mentioned last night, Florida doesn't require you to put the title number in a citation for a statute. And that's because you don't really need to, because it's going to be able to be identified. What title you're looking at is going to be able to be identified by what chapter you're referring to and then what section you're referring to. So I'll explain more about that in a moment. But bottom line is, if you were looking up something on evidence, let's click on that. And let's scroll down, and let's say you wanted to look up here, we'll do 90.104 rulings on evidence, okay? So you can see here, 90 is chapter 90, okay? And 104, that's the section number, okay? That's the section number of the chapter. Just like up here, 103 is the section number of chapter 90, because we're in chapter 90, the evidence code, okay? So if you clicked on 90-104, rulings on evidence, this would bring you to the statute. And you can see here, this is what the statute says. It has a bunch of subsections. It's about court rulings on evidence and procedure. I'm just using this by way of example. And you can still see up here, you're in chapter 90. So you have that 90 right there, and then point that 104. 104 is the section number, okay? So if you were to, I'm gonna go over here, click, I had put this up. So if you were gonna cite this statute, you would do from Westlaw, the unofficial citation from Westlaw would be Florida statute annotated, section number 90.104. Yes, 90 is the chapter, but you do this little section symbol because you're just indicating to your reader that this is the overall section of the statutes you're looking at. And then it's chapter 90, and then your specific section 104. You've got West, obviously, because you pulled this statute off of Westlaw, and then 2020, because obviously Westlaw's statutes annotated are up to date. They update them constantly when there are new case rulings. All right. So to just give you another example, and I'm going to compare this with the official statutes. So if you went to Google, I'm going to switch over to my Google tab, and I have it typed in here. So if you went to Google and you just typed in Florida statutes online, it's going to pull up right here. The first thing you can see, and this is the website I gave you in the PowerPoint, www.leg.state.fl.us. 2019 Florida statutes online sunshine. Okay, that is the Florida. That's the Florida statutes official website. All right, so you're going to click on it. And what you're going to do is, say you were looking for the same statute. Here's evidence, right? It's right there in Title 7. You just click on it, pulls you right there, kind of does like a drop down here. So you're still in the titles, but you can see right here, you got Chapter 90 is your evidence code. Chapter 92 handles witnesses, records, and documents. So you would just click on Chapter 90, and then bam, look, you see right here, 90.104 rulings on evidence, okay? And then you could click on it, and then bam, that's your statute. It's the exact same as the one we just saw in Westlaw. It just doesn't have all the cases annotated over on the right-hand side, and I'll flip back for you to make life easy. Right here, when we were looking at Westlaw, you see these notes of decisions in general criminal cases. That's what I'm talking about when you'll see the annotations. So let's click on criminal cases. How many criminal cases have addressed this statute? It's going to take a minute probably to load. And here you go. I mean, you've got in general I mean, these are all different cases and headnotes that are talking about all of this. So let's click on 9 here, credibility of witnesses. And then bam, you've got cases that are dealing with this particular statute, this concept. These are all your cases and summaries of those cases, okay? So that's what I mean by notes of decisions, why these statutes here in Westlaw are annotated, and they're a super, super helpful research tool. But I'm gonna click back over to my this is the official statute online. See, obviously you don't have that. This is just the statute and the statute in and of itself, okay? And therefore, if you were citing this, which you should cite if you're, you should cite the official statute. Doesn't mean you can't use the Westlaw statute. By all means, use it. Just make sure when you cite the actual statute to a court, you want to use the official citation. So let me flip back to my little Word example here. And your official citation would be floridafla.stat, your little section symbol, and then 90 is your chapter number. Remember, 90 is your chapter number, and then .104, that's your specific section number, and then 2019 is because Florida's, you'll see it right here, the 2019 Florida statutes. And it's great because Florida's statutes are published basically at the end of each legislative session, or they're finished at the end of each legislative session, and then they get published the next year. So that's how you know that it'll always be the preceding year for Florida, which makes life a lot easier. Not all states do that, so that's a good thing. All right, so that is basically it. Tay, I hope that answers your question. I hope that clarifies anything or everything for anybody else with respect to this particular topic. And if you have any questions, let me know. Oh, I will add too, remember I mentioned yesterday you could sometimes add a subsection to your citation. That's not wrong. So say you wanted the court to really look at this subsection 1 and then a court may predicate error or set aside or reverse a judgment, blah, 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 and say applicable to your cases, you were arguing something related to subsection A. What you could do is you could add in, if you went to this, you could add in 1, you could add in 1, and then you could add in A. You could totally do that. There's nothing wrong with that. You could do that here as well. It's not required by any means. If you didn't include that, it would still be a proper citation. You know, that's still absolutely proper, and then your reader would see what you were talking about. But you can do that, especially it can be really helpful when you're doing legal analysis and research, especially if, say, you were comparing, flipping back here hypothetically, say you were comparing the two subsections. Say you were comparing section 1A, and then you were also comparing it saying why section 2 doesn't apply. You can delineate them accordingly in your citation, and it'll make it even clearer for your reader. Again, not absolutely required, but it can just make it what you're writing sometimes more effective, a little more persuasive, and anything that's easier for the reader that they don't need to go do additional legal research and look something up can be helpful. Okay, so that's it. Again, and I hope that answers the question. And if anyone has any additional questions, don't hesitate. All right, I will talk to you guys soon. Have a good one.